As redevelopment began to develop Old Sacramento, there was a certain point in time where they had to get some private developers involved in developing buildings. And that was the start of the beginning of the project. Up until that point where they got private developers, it was all public infrastructure or public improvements. And it was difficult to get those first people in. There was a group of people in Sacramento who formed themselves together and called themselves the Sacramento Trust for Historic Preservation because they thought they should do a building in Old Sacramento to show people that it was commercially viable. They were a nonprofit, but they treated it very much like a business. So they went in and looked, and they chose a building that they thought would be a kind of two buildings actually side by side. One was very historic, and the other one they thought as being a building with great architecture and potentially some interior that was worth saving. So they chose those two buildings and they caused them to be restored. They were called the Lady Adams and the Howard House. The Lady Adams is the oldest building in Sacramento outside of Sutter's Fort, and the Howard House is a three-story hotel and office building in its different periods in its time, which had some interesting interior features, including a circular elliptical hole through one of the floors with a balcony around it, or a railing around it, a nice twisty staircase that went up. And these are features they thought were worthy of preservation. They did that building, and it was a real success for them. They were able to realize some profit out of it, and out of those profits, they began investing in history in our community. They are the people who, in many ways, are responsible for the Railroad Museum being constructed. They're the ones who invited Governor Reagan to dinner and convinced him to let the project go ahead. They are the ones who helped fund the Discovery Museum in Old Sacramento, which was then the History Center. They have been involved in numerous projects in the community. They've bought artifacts and collections for us. They have been involved in publications. They've helped the County Historical Society publish books. It's just a small group of about a dozen or 15 at most, men and women, who have established themselves in the community and want to do a community service. Great organization.